To the show. Since the market is flat, let us try and analyze the impact of demonetization on various sectors. FMCG is the sector on our radar now. Harsh Mariwala, the chairman of Marico, joins us on the phone line to discuss what the aftermath has been. Mr. Mariwala, good morning. You know, some of your peers like Dabur have, that we spoke to recently, have indicated that they have cut their marketing spends and ad spends by almost 50% because of the impact on demand.
Yes.
Would you be doing the same in the month of November and December?
I don't know. I don't handle day-to-day
Sure.
affairs of the company, so difficult for me to answer. But logically, I think they would have cut some expenses because if the sales are suffering and if there are lack of supplies in the marketplace, then no point advertising. So, and even if the consumer doesn't have cash to buy, then that may have an impact on demand. So it's logical for all the FMCG companies to cut ad spends, at least in the short term, in the month of November and December.
Okay, Mr. Mariwala, good morning. The larger question then, you know, when you spoke to Dabur, they said, of course, you know, it's more a case of, transition in the economy. Your sales would be in white, but at the end of the day, you know, cash does play a part in FMCG sales in the back channels. What's been the impact, and are things improving? What's the ground feedback?
See, I think I'll talk about the FMCG sector. I think, you know, you have to divide that into different channels. If you look at the modern trade, no impact. If you look at the chemist, no impact. On the contrary, a little bit higher sales because the chemist is allowed to accept the old notes, and they're also selling some other. So that's because of that, I think, no impact. I would say the biggest impact would be in rural and in wholesale. These are the two major areas where the impact has been the maximum, rural and wholesale. And then in the Kirana stores also because of lack of notes, you know. So I would say these are the three sectors within, three segments within FMCG sector, three channels, you may call it, which have been impacted, you know.
Good morning. Thanks for joining. What's your sense about any deeper worries about rural aggregate demand? Any sense at all whether the informal economy is dislocated because more construction may not happen, because of lack of sales, people are letting off help, domestic help go away? Is there any such fear of a slightly longer term impact?
I don't think so, but there's one other fear that because of lack of cash, sowing is not taking place, but that's misplaced. From whatever I have found out, I think sowing has not had any impact on sowing. So in terms of crops, there is no impact, not likely to be, or hardly any impact. So I would say that, but again, when it comes to selling, you know, we buy some copra and raw materials. Again, there is some degree of, because of, so buying of raw materials, there is some impact on the farmer or his produce, selling of his produce. But I think all that would be temporary. So I for one, don't think there is going to be long-term impact. I think my worry is if by the time this settles down, and it'll take a few months, it cannot happen within just by December. It may take a little longer than that. And on top of that, if GST comes in April, again, there'll be a big step and a big discontinuity. And there again will be some learning curve. There'll be some disruption because some people are not ready with GST. So the combined effect of these two is a little bit worrying, if you ask me, you know. And these are short-term issues. I'm not talking long-term. These are short-term issues. If you combine GST with demonetization and all that happening at the same time, so by the time the demonetization settles down, GST disruption, short-term disruption comes in, and that again has an impact on growth rates.
Okay. Well, we had a fairly detailed discussion yesterday with a former agriculture secretary and a farmer, head of that Bharatiya Kisan. Their point is, again, as you say, sowing is as good as it was last year, same time November, but they're worried about inputs because of the cash crunch and cooperatives not being able to exchange cash. They were seriously worried that if inputs don't reach in 2 weeks' time, then they were worried about the quality and quantity of the Rabi harvest. But that's neither here nor there. Mr. Mariwala, what you spoke about GST and the demonetization is a temporary disruption of your functioning. It should not logically impact demand, isn't it?
It's temporary actually impact. It may not last for more than a year or so. Long term, hopefully, with both these getting implemented, the economy will be in a better shape. But I'm talking of in the next 6 months to 9 months.
But why would GST impact demand, sir? You may have a confusion with your accounts.
Because I think within a short period of time, the government is trying to do a lot of things, and a lot of trade, small
Okay.
players are not ready with the GST way of doing things,
Okay.
So if the trade is not ready, then I reckon that will have some disruption, and I think it's quite complex, the whole GST transition from current to going to the GST transition. The industry also requires time. The bigger players may be ready, but the smaller players and the trade will go through learning curve, because you need the IT support. You need to proactively handle the shift from what currently is happening to the new one.
Fair point, sir.
Okay,
Thank you very much for giving us a ground check for the FMCG sector as a whole.